Hello and welcome to first episode, I guess, of the podcast Gutter Pups. My name is Adam. I'm starting this podcast to bring light to the situations and plights of voiceless dogs everywhere. So here we go. There's a voice behind the screens, unnamed associate who's going to ask me questions, so feel free.
So when it comes to what you're trying to do with this podcast, what exactly is your goal?
Well, my goal with this podcast initially is to interview people who started rescues, dog transportation companies, fosters, anybody non-profit-wise, profit-wise, whatever it may be, that are trying to save dogs off the street for any sort of helping the environment, helping the population, helping the fur babies, basically. I want to interview people to get their background of why they started these things, how they started these things, and what keeps them going through these things, because I know these things are tough.
So I heard the word dog transportation, and for the people who don't know what that is, would you care to explain what that is?
Absolutely. So when you run a rescue, I was involved with a rescue for the last 4 years, shipping over 130 to 140 dogs a year, and we averaged up a year. We spent probably about $30,000 or better a year through our nonprofit, sending dogs to fosters, forever homes. And what that basically is, when you're a foster or you're a rescue or animal control, animal pound somewhere, even dog kennels that sell breeders and whatnot, they have got to get their dogs from point A to point B, and that may be across the United States, it may be into other countries, other states, whatever. And there's transportation companies that actually do this for you. Some are highly recommended, some are really not, some are just winging it, some are new. A lot of them do it for the wrong reasons. And finding the ones that get your dogs there for the correct reasons, with the correct mental attitude, with nothing being undone on the other end of it. What that basically means by that is, if you spend all this time re-socializing an animal and put it on a transport, and at the other side of it, by the time it touches down, all that work is undone because of the trauma they on transportation, that really is a rough thing. So what rescues do is they word of mouth it, pretty much, because there's really nobody out there advertising all over the place, booming on billboards. You find rescues that recommend, and we get in contact with these transportation companies, fosters, other rescues across the United States, or people that tag these dogs and want them as their forever pets. They get in touch with us being a rescue, and say, I want this dog. And we say, okay, it costs X amount of money for transport, and it costs X amount of money for gas, and they send that up front to us through our nonprofit, deposit it into an online bank account, and we turn around and pay the transportation companies this fee. We absolutely get nothing as a rescue doing this. It's purely nonprofit completely. And we pay the rescues, the transportation companies, the money. We meet them at a specific time in a specific state if it's close to us. I've driven as far as to Dallas, to Amarillo, to Austin. I've driven all over the place dropping dogs for transport. And the first one we did a transport, I think it was like 4 dogs. And the guy shows up in a moving van, stacked 3 kennels high on each side, inside, and it took over 2 weeks. And it cost an outrageous amount of money. It was not very well put together as far as I was concerned. And it shouldn't have taken that long to get there, because we were only shipping from Pennsylvania. So we got in touch with a few others, and as we went on and live and learn through this, like a lot of us do, the transportation companies that we ran with were a lot more about the dog and less about profit, and that's what we like. So we find somebody that's got room, and we book those slots. We pay them in advance. We meet at a certain designated location. We hand them the dog. We hand them all the cross-country paperwork, all the border paperwork, all the health certificates, rabies certificates, everything, and where they're going. And they put them in a kennel, take the paperwork, and they give us play-by-play along the road if we ask for it. Some do, some don't. Not everybody does this. But they take them out to pee and poop, feed them, water them, and get them there as fast as possible with the less amount of trauma as possible. So that's what transportation companies really do.
So I've learned to understand that you were previously in a dog rescue business.
Yes.
How many dogs have you rescued throughout the years?
Oh, shit. 130 to 140, roughly, for 4 years that I'm aware of on transport. So I'd probably throw another, let's see, Okay, 130 times 4, that's 400. 520 low end. On transport side, probably another 300 saved and worked with or middleman throughout those 4 years too. So probably a good 800 dogs, possibly. I mean, that would be about a rough estimate.
Is there a specific dog throughout the years that stood out to you story wise?
Um, Shoot, that's a tough question. So yeah, I've had quite a few stand out over the years, um, and in part to this, let me put this in there first before I go on. When you do run a rescue for some reason, and I'm sure a lot of people that resonate with this, dogs seem to find you. I'd go outside to feed my dogs or take them outside and pee and poop in the morning at 7 o'clock, and I'd find dogs at my gate. For Christ's sake, they were just in desperate need. So one, the first one, our first major wonderful success. My wife and I, we saw this dog across the street in a small neighborhood, and it looked like a coyote mix, and she's totally skittish, small, almost mid puppyish. And I fed it. It was a female, and she ran off. And then she started coming back around with a little pack in the neighborhood, and come to find out, she was pregnant, and she had 5 babies on the street. And we could never get her into our yard. She'd come to us for breakfast and dinner every night at my front gate, every single day, with her pack, with her babies, for food. And we feed them, water them, but they'd never come inside our gate. And wouldn't let us touch her. She'd stay within about a 4 foot distance from everybody, totally skittish. And the girls, or the puppies that she had, grew up, and she ran with a few other ones in the neighborhood. And we were able to get the ones in the neighborhood that she ran with, a couple smalls, a medium-sized dog. And she actually, when she grew up and came back around, she turned out to be a husky. And in Northwest Texas, a husky seems to be a very common breed of dog that people want to get. I don't understand why, because of the heat problem out here, considering they have double coats. But it is what it is. But she had just left the 5 pups, and they were hellions, terrorizing the neighborhood. 3 of them disappeared, 2 of them stayed, don't know what happened to the other 3. And we fed her for 6 months. It took her 6 months before I was able to touch her, and only when she was eating out of a bowl on the sidewalk, she still would not come in my front gate. And my wife and I found out who owned her, and he had named her Snow, which is a fitting name. She was white and black, mainly white. And he had found her in an alley. She followed him home. She was microchipped. We did able to scan for microchip, and the people denied even having her. And so she was just put out too many times on the street and just pretty much a street dog. So we talked the guy into possibly giving her up when we noticed that she was pregnant again. And she definitely was pregnant. She disappeared for 2 weeks. Found out the guy right behind me, that's where he lived. She gave birth underneath his trailer. And any of you in Texas or Northwest Texas know the tick problem out here. So I immediately was like, holy cow, we got to do something with these puppies. And he wanted to give them up. But he only wanted to give them up if we take the 2 wild ones, which were so wild he didn't have names for them. They were 2 females. They were chasing cats, getting in fights, terrorizing the neighborhood, but they were probably about 7 months old, 6 months old. Well, we ripped open the bottom of the siding from his trailer, and we got 3 of the puppies out. He took those 3 and ran in the house and did not come back out. Come to find out there was 5 puppies total. Then he said, well, I want to see what they turn out looking like, which is a total shit show. So we gave up hope. And I'm building some kennels one day in the backyard, and it's about a month after. Probably not 2 weeks. And in walks through the alley in my big backyard where I have a lot of the dog kennels and stuff. I'm welding some gates together and whatnot. In walks Snow with her 2 daughters and walked right in the gate. I shut the gate behind me. I fed them. I watered them. They laid down. They took a nap. They ate. Called my wife. I'm like, you'd never believe who's here. She's like, no way. I said, absolutely. My wife comes home from work, stops outside, and was just mind blown. Now, the 2 girls who two first litter were so skittish they wouldn't come near me. Snow would at least come and give me kisses on the face now, and she was happy. So that was about 5 o'clock. About 8 o'clock, we go outside to feed them, and they're gone. They escaped. Then about 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard this little noise between the houses, between my neighbor's house, and I went outside with a flashlight thinking somebody was poking around. And in a pallet that I had lodged between the houses, I saw this little brown potato, and it moved. And it was a puppy, newborn, not even eyes open yet. Snow had gone and brought me all 5 of her puppies, one by one, from this guy's house to my house, and stayed with her 2 daughters. Stayed in my backyard in the kennel. I separated Mama and the babies from the other ones, and we were unsure if the other ones were actually going to come around or not. And they ended up coming around quite nicely. We named them Sasha and Sophia. And they used to wait on my back porch for me to come put them to bed at night. And they'd each crawl on my lap, and I'd pet them and cuddle them. And they'd get out of my lap, and the next one to show up, and so forth. And I'd sit in the kennels during the rainstorms and the hail and the snow. And we got all 5 of her newborns adopted out. We got the 2 girls adopted out to one woman in Oregon. And that woman's son had broken his femur. He was a track athlete, and he was just mad depression, just really sunken way low. And those 2 girls brought him out of his depression. Now, granted, they did destroy her first house, but she still has them to this day. And she tells us all the time, checkups and pictures and whatnot, of how lucky she is to have these girls and how much a blessing it was for her and her son, and they're totally family members, and she could not picture her life without them, even though they destroyed a house. Snow got adopted by my wife's friend from, I believe, high school or college or something to that effect. She drove out here during spring break, and she had a husky at the house specifically to pick up Snow and go back. And Snow was doing wonderful. She has a friend to play with. She lives on a farm. She checks on the horses every morning and rides in the buggy, and that's her job. And even a little bit further than that, we recently came into contact with another mother husky and 5 pups, and we got those adopted out. And her son adopted that female husky, the mama of that one. So that's his first dog, and it's going quite well. So we've got some amazing things happening.
So what is your end goal?
My end goal, you know, I'm sure you're aware of the plight that's going on with the dogs. I mean, anybody driving down the street in Texas can see the homeless population, the dog population, dead dogs on the side of the road, puppies, kittens, whatnot. My end goal is to kind of bring light to the situation. Maybe I can inspire some people going forward to do some of the things that I'm trying to do, to show people that you don't take much. Our rescue, it started with my wife saying she wanted to foster 2 dogs. She came home with 5. I built a kennel in my backyard out of scraps. Towards the end of it, I've had up to 16 dogs in my house, in the backyard, inside. There wasn't a room in my house, but my bathroom did not have a dog in it. Sometimes I had puppies in the kitchen in a crate, in kennels and whatnot. It was crazy, but that whole helping hand scenario, when you get an animal looking you in the eyes with sheer gratitude that they know they've been saved, or they come to you because they know they can trust you, that's just a fucking good feeling, man. I'm trying to play this forward and trying to give people hope, a drive to get on board with this, to do something about this, because I'm tired of driving by dogs that have been shot in the road or ran over and not thinking I could have done better as a human. And if I can inspire people to get on board with this and help with this plight and start transporting dogs or fostering dogs, or hell, open your own rescue, for Christ's sake. It doesn't take much. It just takes some connections and reaching out and doing the best you can with what you got. I built everything in my backyard out of nothing. Straight up. I hustled for everything. I scavenged, I dumpster dove, I paid for screws and nails and maybe some heaters every now and then. But other than that, I had fully insulated kennels, lights, heaters, makeshift ACs off of DIY projects on YouTube. It's not hard to do. It doesn't take a whole shit ton of money, because by God, we are not rich, and we threw everything we could into it. And I mean, look what we did. So my end goal is just to bring some awareness to the situation. And this podcast, I want to go forward and start interviewing rescues, like I said, interviewing how they got started, why they do what they do, how they keep going, what are the trials and tribulations going through this, how does it make them feel, what are the problems they run up against, what are the blessings they come across, that sort of thing.
Is there a way for people to donate to the cause?
Yes, there is. I do have a SNAP fund available. It is called Play It Forward. It's Spot Fund. So spot fund, play it forward. You find a picture of me with a white dog facing me. I got sunglasses on my forehead. Um, I am trying to start my own animal transportation business myself. I've recently run up against a brick wall where, unfortunately, in this world, it takes money to make money. I've got my LLC. My business is going to be called Second Chance Connections. My logo is "We get second chances, why not them?" And that's as far as I've gotten so far. I need backers, financiers, people like-minded that believe in what I'm trying to do, that will donate to my fund to help me move forward to the next phase. So I can get a business loan, so I can get better equipment, so I can start doing this on a full-time basis and alleviate some of the bottleneck that seems to be happening with people so full with dogs but no way to transport them.
So with the fundraising, what is the amount of money you're hoping to raise?
Ideally, be perfectly honest with you, as much as I could possibly get, but the minimum amount I'm trying to get is $1,500, $1,500 to $5,000. I have to have $1,500 in a business account in order to get a small microloan. That will give me $4,000 to $8,000 microloan where I can go buy a toy hauler, renovate it myself, put the dog kennels in there, cameras, whatnot, and be able to go complete legitimate and start advertising with these rescues and letting people know that I am out there, that I am trustworthy. I've got 4 years on the rescue side of dropping him at transports, so now I want to move on to the other side of it because I understand both sides at that point. So I'm totally in this for the dogs. I'm absolutely trying to make a better life, a better footprint in this world when I do go, and this is part of it.
Um,
So, bigger picture involved in these things, let me talk about some of the trials and tribulations I've come across. Funding is obviously a big thing, a very, very big thing. Um, go through so much dog food, it's not even funny. Um, it's stressful, it's hurtful, it's heartfelt, but I've had a lot of tears of joy. I've had people thank me and couldn't picture their life without the animal that I brought to their lives. And that doesn't happen without me or somebody like me taking control and stepping in on an animal's behalf and recognizing this animal's worth saving. Spay, microchip, neuter your animals, do your due diligence, fix the holes in your fence, keep them from running away. It's not hard, people. It's really not. It's just takes time and effort, and so many people are just so clueless and checked out. It's kind of ridiculous. So, I've had, like I said, 130 to 140 dogs a year, and my wife cried at damn near every dropping because we got so personal with some of them. Some of them we had for a couple years. We had one for 3 years that I saved as a puppy that loved me to death, just the goofiest girl, and she's now in a great home. I had a puppy, not a puppy per se, older, like a pocket pit mix, small, and he used to go door to door on the street and knock on their doors. And if they opened up, he'd come inside and eat and sleep, and he'd go back out in the day and he'd find another house. He had a little circuit he ran, but he was a homeless dog, a street urchin. Gutter pups. That's the whole point. It's gutter pups. I'm saving gutter pups, the lost, the broken, the cast off, and that's what matters in this world.
what platforms are you on?
Right now, I've got a YouTube channel. It's called Second Chance at Elsa's Great Escape. Please go follow, go like, subscribe. Anything helps. I've got a TikTok right now. I'm on Instagram. Not so much on Facebook. I'm kind of learning as I go. It's a big learning curve for me. But to give you an idea of how desperate I am, right now I'm in neutral. I feel like I'm spinning my gears. I've done as much as I can. I DoorDash during the day. It's hard to go forward without any help or background or anybody to rely on for a leg up. And it's just me doing this. My wife and I have separated. I have no family and I have very few friends. So it's a tough going, keeping my head above water while still trying to do this business idea and this business plan is so hard right now. But I am going to do it. So like I said, I spot fund, please look me up. It would help dramatically. Like I said, this is the first of one of many interviews. I've got another friend who I'm going to call probably later on this week and put another podcast out and ask her a bunch of questions too. So you guys can look forward to me asking these questions and the voice behind the camera, because he is valid too and he does matter. The voiceless. So like I said, I guess that's pretty much about it, people. So please like, subscribe, follow me. Let's get a movement going. Let's start something here. Y'all have a great day.